We shall see. Awesome level up animation. Such a fan. Interesting. At least Kindred tells me this could be the Katerina control variant. Means we don't need any of these control tools. This is a much better start for us. Much better start for us. So what we are looking to do today, for those who care or are interested, is we're going to mix it up. We're gonna do the games first. I mean, you probably figured that out already because the video has started and I dove right into games. Mystic Chat, Vile Feast. I respect it. You know what? If they want to take this trade and I get 4 damage out of it, I will happily accept that. Fair. But yeah, we're going to jump right into the games because I've been going back and forth. I normally prefer seeing deck explanations done up front. I like to kind of know what I'm about to see, but not everybody does. So we're going to play with the format a bit and the explanation will be at the end, but I'm adding time tags to my video descriptions now. Rekindler and timelines is gone, which tells me that they have a second timelines already. We also have to make our decision. I think we'll go with this turn. I don't really think that this matters as much. I don't think Kindred is going to be, yep, so there's the timelines. I don't think Kindred is going to be much of a priority in this matchup. So let's get the bodies going so we can set up an open attack and then we can do a spirit leash. Leech, not leash. Spirit leech. Post combat. But we're doing a good job of generating some early pressure here. Ooh, even more draw, or the remitter coming in soon. Oh, that. I now know why they're making the sad Poro face. I mean, it's possible this just ends up becoming a better 3-drop for him. But we're gonna just try to make this board nice and wide and hope that they don't have too much of an answer. Another Undying is okay, but we're just gonna keep stacking this one for now. Because with our Ruthless Predator, we'll have a pretty solid open attack going into this next round. Withering Whale might give them a little bit of a bump as far as like healing, and it will take out the leech. Unless of course they pop it this round, but we're gonna set up for the open attack so that we can dodge Ruination this next round. So yeah, I would love to hear feedback about, you know, what do people prefer? Do you like going right into the games and putting the deck description and explanation stuff at the end, now that I'm going to be adding the time tags so that you can hop around? Do you still want deck descriptions up front? I've always just kind of done stuff based on my own preference, but I realize that it's kind of less for me at this point.
You could be saved.
That's a nice pickup. Are they just gonna concede? Oh, we get the concede. All right, that's a hot start. Let's see if we can keep this momentum. We didn't get a lot of Undying action there, but let's keep going. Oh look, it's that new deck. It's that new deck from our brand new expansion. I have not seen this before. We're actually gonna keep the whale and ship the rest here. So one of the other reasons that personally I like doing the deck description up front is that I really feel like, well, that's a nice addition. I really feel like being able to talk about why I'm excited about a deck is great at providing context as well. You know, if you're just jumping into this in the games, then you're thinking, you know, okay, it's just Undying today or whatever, but you might not know. You probably know, but you might not know that Undying is like one of my favorite archetypes. Like, I just really dig it. Yeah, let's get this going. A little bit of a slower game for us, but with the spell mana banked, yeah, I was gonna say, please, I beg of you. With the spell mana banked, we can set up a whale or a crumble. Probably whale. It's better at trying to deal with an early fizz, and then we can use crumble maybe a little bit later. I don't know. I like having this for when the burbles are about to connect as well, but the whale is just nice because it's not targeted. There's a zap. So a shame that, you know, whale doesn't deal with that. We could just crumble that, save the whale. Crumble gets this moving. I mean, we don't have like a lot of truly crumbleable targets. Like, you care about Twisted Fate. Sure. Sure. We'll take that damage, but we get our Undying up and running. And so now the question becomes, do we want to go with the remitter or the leech here? I think it's probably remitter. And I think we actually might do it before combat, because we might get something spicy like so.
Can't say no to fizz.
Don't be afraid.
Honestly, we should have sent this as well. This is a misplay. If they block with a zap, that's just one more thing that
Why are you here?
gets closer, right? If this would have blocked there, then we're in a much better spot for this withering whale. So we might be approaching the point where our kindred actually needs to come down.
Blue as the serpentine.
Because this Twisted Fate, I feel like, is getting ready to pop off. They've got 5 cards and 5 spell mana. So another pick a card here or some rummages could really get that up and running. Well, now I'm really wishing I would have waited. Now I'm really wishing I would have waited and played this Withering Whale, because, yeah, I was going to say, there's no way that's not an iterative coming down, and we're... Oh, interesting. Thought we were about to take a ton of damage, but maybe they're just playing conservative and they don't want to... They have more iteratives in hand and they want to ensure that they're hitting what they want to hit. I guess that makes sense. So here, I think we take our own open attack. We're just trying to get ourselves to a position where this Undying can potentially win with an atrocity for us this next round. It's, I think, the real goal here. So if we just let this through... Yeah, we just let this through, and then we can remitter here. It gets it up to 5 for next turn. Fizz and the other one at 2 health are a bit of a problem because they're going to escape our Withering Whale.
Return with interest.
This is actually really nice for us. This is a heck of a high roll. Okay, so we've got enough for both of these, and it's likely going to be necessary. They're gonna try to go wide with the burbles. We're gonna try to stop it with the whale. Looks like they didn't hit the ones that they wanted to, so they're threatening here. So what we need to do is put the withering on the stack. Hold on, we gotta make sure that we are doing this correctly. We actually want this to die and come back, just because this is basically like a stun, and then the withering whale, because whale will kill this first if it's in this order, and then when this dies it should mark this. So this is the way that we want to do it. Order of operations really important here, so you just want to make sure that we talk through the decision making and the reasoning, because as long as we don't die here, I'm pretty confident we can get a win next turn. And so yeah, now Fizz is marked by the Kindred. We just have to not die. At 7 health, it's a little risky because we could be facing something like direct damage through burn, right? Mystic shots and whatever. But the key, right? The trick is we just have to not die this turn, because then if we make it to next turn and we go with the open attack to start like threatening lethal, they can try throwing some direct damage at us, and then we can respond with an atrocity, hopefully. We shall see. Awesome level up animation, such a fan. Kindred also getting rid of Fizz is important, because that's one of the more annoying units for us to deal with. So Twisted Fate popping off, and then as I said before, we go right with the open attack. I think we're gonna leave this back. No, let's put it just at the end, so that anything that resolves here still gets our triggers. And let's also give this, let's actually give this the +2/+0 and this the vulnerable, so that we can ensure that we try to deal with that elusive as well as like an insurance play, because I'll take 1 less damage to just make sure this is there, and that still leaves us with atrocity mana. And so still threatening lethal now with a combination of like get exciteds and mystic shots. They can clean some of this up, but we'll still get chip damage in. Also, by putting this here, we would have had, once any one of these dies, enough to get the atrocity in. So overall, like the game plan, love the deck. Let's go talk about it now at the end of the video, I guess. Ignore that I'm still bottom of plat 4. I've been doing a lot of experimenting, gang. So we're just going to pretend that I've been winning, but I've played some real clunkers in the name of science to try to get lists that I like. The good news is I've got a few lists I like now, but one of them is this deck, and so we're gonna go talk about it now. So as you can tell, today's list was an Undying list. This is an Undying Shurima list that is a bit of an evolution, because originally I wanted to try Kindred and Nasus in Undying, and after losing a bunch of games with it, I came to the conclusion that Nasus is just not that great in the list. I wanted him to be good, but the reality is he's much more of a win more card. The fearsome sometimes matters, but not a lot, and his big body is nice, but he just comes down like a ball of stats and swings blindly until you can win with an atrocity. So in my opinion, like if I'm just being honest, like he's great. You want to run him, awesome, do so, but he doesn't bring anything new to the archetype. The reality is you could probably get away with just running like Ledros, for example, and you'll have almost the exact same effect. Ledros comes down later, but it has the guaranteed damage on the body, and Nasus is just a big body sooner that's gonna eat up some blockers, because your opponent will be forced to block when you're swinging with a big Nasus, but that's kind of all he's doing for you. So this was going to be a Kindred Nasus deck, but I can't in good consciousness do that. So Kindred Undying, we're gonna dive right in. 3 Ravenous Butchers, because we want to combine them with our Undying units, and also Cursed Keeper. The Butcher Cursed Keeper start on 2 is one of the more explosive starts in the game. Plenty of aggro decks are doing it right now, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be running both of these, because Butcher is great for our Undying, but we also need more feeder units for when you don't draw Undying, because this deck is a ton of fun, but it can potentially brick if you don't find your Undying units, and so Cursed Keeper is a good backup. It's also the same reason we're running 3 Hapless Aristocrat, is because we just need feeder units, and I'm choosing to run this over, for example, Warden's Prey, because this just gives me another unit right away that I can use as a feeder unit, whereas Warden's Prey you kind of have to reinvest. Right now, I'm running 1 Rite of Calling, just as basically a 4th way to find Kindred, but also, again, it's a nice 0 cost way to sacrifice your Undying, sacrifice your Cursed Keeper if you don't have a Butcher on 2. It's actually fine, I think, as a one of, and I've been enjoying it. I don't think in this list I would run more than 1, just because we're only running the 1 champion, so it's not like we ever need to find the second one. And even in a list like this, it's not imperative we find Kindred. Our deck is still built around Undying, not built around our champions, so this is a nice to have. So again, Aristocrat, Curse Keeper, they're feeder units. 3 Ruthless Predator. I can't say enough about this card. I'm a big fan. It does a lot of things you want it to do in an Undying list, because it grants other things vulnerable, but it also buffs your units. So that means you can push more damage through, but also you can use the grant an enemy vulnerable to run your own Undying units into it, especially in the like earlier rounds. So rounds like 3 through 7, for example, you can jumpstart your Undying, slow down their board, and if you have other units, then you can push extra damage. Or you can use it if you draw your Undying late and it's a little bit smaller, you can still just buff your Undying to have it trade up. So, you know, if you're not finding your Undying until round 5, round 6, and you still want to use that as the sacrificial lamb, pun intended, because we're playing a Kindred deck, but if you want to use this to trade with a unit bigger than it, then again, Ruthless Predator helps out. Now, I know that there's a ton of people that love Exhaust, and rightfully so. Where did it go here? Exhaust is a beautiful combat tool at the moment that I apparently just, here we go, can't find. I'm an idiot. Ignore that. And I was actually running a couple of these for a while, but as weird as it sounds, this card is a bit anti-synergistic, because the entire reason Exhaust is good in other decks and it's fantastic in other decks is because you want to take favorable trades. But most often when I'm playing Ruthless Predator in this list, I'm not caring about getting that favorable trade where my unit survives. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm trying to kill my Undying, and making your unit hit my Undying less is a problem. So I'm full on 3 Ruthless Predator, and I'm currently not running Exhaust for that reason. Stalking Shadows, great draw tool, helps you find a number of units, but obviously the big one is Undying. If you are playing this and you hit Undying and it's your first one you're going to play, always start with the ephemeral one, because it's just going to die and instantly get that first round of buffs for you anyway. So Stalking Shadows. Currently on 3 Blighted Caretakers, because it is very much like Ruthless Predator. It frees up your other attackers. It also creates additional potential feeder units, but also the saplings are blockers. So you do sometimes run into a situation with this deck where, you know, if you've got like 2 Undyings and a Cursed Keeper on the board, you might not be able to block like at all. And so it's entirely reasonable and sometimes the right play to blow up your Undying with a Caretaker on defense just to give you 3 potential blockers. That's entirely fine. It's the same reason why we run Remitter, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when we get that far down the list, but I'm still running 3 of this. I could see this going down to a 2 of for maybe some other cards, but Undying, point of the deck. We play it and then we try to kill it as much as possible and snowball it. If you can get 2, that's usually the sweet spot, but again, you don't want to flood your board with too many units, so you have to be careful about using some of your other effects, like Stalking Shadows. It's entirely possible if you've already got 1 Undying and you find Undying with this, you know, just hang on to the 3rd one unless you absolutely need it to push for lethal at some point. But other than that, yeah, it's an Undying list. That's also why I cut the other 4-drop Chronicler of Ruin. This is a card that I had run in the past because it helps boost your Undying up, but it does so at the expense of taking up another board slot when it makes the 2nd Undying. So this has been cut and replaced with Spirit Leech. Spirit Leech also could be replaced by Glimpse, but I just really like that Spirit Leech is uninterruptible so that you guarantee get the card draw. I also like that it gives us a body to block. Is it a very brittle body? Yeah, the 1 health is a liability. But again, this is a deck that at times can struggle with finding blockers, and so I'm currently running Spirit Leech over Glimpse. Now, I talked about sometimes you can cut Caretaker down to 2. If you do, I would consider adding a 3rd Spirit Leech, but right now this is a 2-0 for me. Crumble. There's a lot of landmarks in the meta right now, and there's a lot of other units that you just might want to nuke outright, and Crumble does it very cost effective for you while also powering up your Undying. So I'm a big fan of this card in this list. Remitter. This is another great way to increase the power of your Undying, but also defensively, this is one of my favorite cards to play because it surprises folks where, you know, if you've only got an Undying or you have like an Undying and a Cursed Keeper on the board, you can pop a Remitter and suddenly you've got a pair of blockers. Or again, if it's, you know, you get more value popping the Undying and getting yourself basically this 4/3 and another random 5-drop. But again, if you need blockers and you have a Cursed Keeper, it can be entirely reasonable to Remitter your Cursed Keeper. You end up then with a 4-drop, a 4/3, and a 4/3. So you get reasonable blockers in one defensive play. Doesn't help you obviously against open attacks, but like it's good for giving you bodies. Kindred, the new addition to the list. Finally, Undying decks got a champion. Obviously, this is an additional control tool for you. You are going to be slaying your own Undyings and then trying to get free kills out of Kindred or pressuring your opponent into killing their own units anyway. The trickiest part about Kindred is trying to make sure you get value from it, because smart players will order blocks. For example, like if you attack, they'll order blocks in a way where a unit dies, it marks another unit, and then that unit dies in the blocking, so that you don't get the extra kill at the end. You still get credit towards leveling your Kindred, but sometimes that's like the least of the two evils. You don't want to give somebody a free kill from the passive ability. So pay attention to that. And then similarly, when you're using your spells, try to pay attention to how that's going to work with Kindred as well. We saw in the one game, for example, ordering the Withering Wail before the Kindred champion spell, the Spirit Journey, was important because that also got us an additional kill out of it. So just really be aware of order of operations with Kindred and it'll go a long way. And then the top end of here is just control tools / finishers. So 2 Atrocity. Atrocity is great because hopefully, again, our Undyings are growing. They get, you know, somewhere in the 5/5, 6/6, 7/7 range. And then Atrocity is more likely to stick. You're worried about frostbite effects, but for the most part, if you're playing against like TF Fizz, your Atrocities are likely going to be big enough that they can't kill it with damage. So it's going to be successful, and that's a big deal. There's a lot of aggro of many different flavors, lots of Azir, again, Fizz, TF, whatever. So 3 Withering Wails are your best tool here just because of the healing. You may have noticed this deck doesn't have like any other sources of healing, so Withering Wail is important. And then I'm also running 2 Spirit Fire. This is a card that, because I was running Shurima and Nasus originally, I was toying around with, and the more I've played with it, the more I've really come to like it. In fact, this list is very easy to transfer to other regions. So we're really only running Predator, the 1 Rite of Calling, and Spirit Fire. So if you want to take the shell of this from Shadow Isles and change it to Noxus or like cards like Fervor, change it to Demacia for cards like Single Combat, you can feel free to do so. This is a flexible list because the core is heavy Shadow Isles, but the Shurima version, again, I started because I wanted to play Nasus. Love what Ruthless Predator has done for me. The Rite of Calling has been nice for finding the Kindreds, but Spirit Fire has surprised me. I thought that the 7 cost might end up being too expensive, but the fact that it's burst speed, the fact there's a lot of aggro on the ladder right now, and that -2, -0 is as good as healing, right? It's not quite Withering Wail. It doesn't save you from direct damage if they're trying to win at the end, but the -2, -0 is very relevant. And the end of round deal 2 to me thing, clearing up your opponent's board, has also been pretty nice. This card has surprised me. It didn't come up for the games today, but on stream 2 nights ago, for example, this was putting in lots of work for me. So this is the list. As always, deck code will be in the video description and a link to Mobalytics as well. If you made it this far, appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Again, give me feedback. Do you like seeing the descriptions up front? Do you want them at the end of the video like this one? I can be flexible now that I'm going to be doing the time tags for every video going forward, as far as like where the games and the deck description are. I can do it either way. So anyway, thanks for watching. I love you all. And until next time, may you walk on warm sands.